to heights unknown. To a home. Get it, you don't need it though, cause I think I know waves. Look, we're getting better. Right now, we ain't cheating. Ooh, secret. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Latina Marie. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you know when I'm posting. Hope you guys liked that little jam session I had before I started working. I needed to give myself a little hype. So today's video is going to be a little different than what I normally do, but I'm actually excited about it because I was recently informed that I need to kind of give a little more detail in the products that I'm using, how I'm using them, and why I'm using them. So today I'm going to be doing a full face of my, or not full face, but my full foundation routine. I have really oily skin, so throughout the day with product on my face, oil comes through. It's just makes my makeup look really disgusting, and if I'm layering everything, it looks worse. So I go for a matte look with my foundation. I buy matte foundations, but even with that, I still need something to control my oil. So I'm going to be showing you guys how I do that, why I do that, what products I use to do it, and why I chose those products and how I came about to doing this process. So one foundation that I've recently started using, which I'm absolutely in love with, is the Can't Stop Won't Stop from NYX. This is the Alyssa Ashley, I believe her name is, the Alyssa Ashley collaboration for the foundations, and this is a 24-hour matte foundation. This is the only foundation that I do not need to do this process with. So if I'm ever on the go, if I'm like, I need to get out of here in a quick, fast hurry, need some makeup on, this is what I will turn to because this will do what I need it to do. It's very matte. But yeah, so today I'm going to be showing you guys how I go about making my foundation a matte finish. Even if I'm using a dewy foundation in this video, I'm going to be using a dewy foundation just because it would make more sense and it will show exactly why I'm using the products that I'm using. So let's get right into this, and I'll be very detailed with everything. So this video is going to be kind of long, I apologize, but it will explain everything that I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and how I came about to doing this stuff and why I feel that it works. So let's get into this video. All right, so one thing that I am always making sure to do if I want my foundation to turn out perfect, whether that's a matte finish or a dewy finish or whatever kind of finish or foundation that I'm going for, if I want my makeup to look flawless, the number one step is to always make sure that my face is super clean, freshly cleaned. So I wash my face in the morning, every morning before I put on any type of makeup, and even with that being done, I still go in with a makeup wipe or makeup remover or a face wipe, something before I start to apply any type of makeup, and just to make sure that I've gotten all the oils and everything off of my face. So that's what I'm going to do now. So now that I've done that, I go in with a moisturizer because of course I want to make sure that my skin is protected and moisturized under my skin. Even though I have oily skin, oily does not mean moisturized. You know, I have to put the water and stuff back into my skin because I dry out my skin with the face wash and soap and everything that I put on my face. So I need to make sure that I'm putting moisturizer back into my skin. So today I'm going to be using this Hey Honey Relax Poreless honey soothing moisturizer. I got this in my IPSY bag, I believe. So I'm actually just trying to get rid of it, so I'm going to use that today. And I really like to make sure that my skin is moisturized. You can see a difference already when you make sure that your skin is hydrating and feels like it's being cared for. Please excuse Bob and Jimmy. It's that time of the month for me, so my face is breaking out. Now that we have prepped my skin for makeup products, we're gonna go in with a primer. So I have very, very pore, like my pores are huge. It's the craziest thing that I've ever seen, and I did not notice how bad my pores were until I started using makeup so often, so much for this channel. So I have a lot of primers that I use. I don't use them all at once, but these are all the primers that I have, and I will explain why I got them and why I use them. Typically, I like to use at least, of course, one primer, but sometimes I like to use 2 primers just because I feel like it gives an HD focus finish for what I'm going for. So sometimes I might need that extra layer just to make everything look a lot more smooth. I have this Absolute New York Flawless Face Foundation Primer. I got this from TJ Maxx. It was like $2 or $3, and I got this because it has the silicone, what is it called? Dimethicone, which is in products that are supposed to basically fill your pores. They're supposed to fill your pores so that they look like they're non-existent. So I got this for that reason, because I like the way that feels on my skin. I like the way that it smooths over my skin and it makes everything look flawless. It does what it says it's going to do, so I don't have a problem using it as long as I know I'm not sleeping in it. If I become like lazy again and start picking up the habit to sleep in my makeup, then it will be a problem that I'm using this. As long as I'm just using this for demonstration purposes or for an event or just for the day and I'm not sleeping in it, I'm not keeping it on my skin for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, I'm fine with using it. A lot of people have a problem with the dimethicone ingredient. Some people are allergic to it. It does not react to me in any kind of terrible way, so I'm fine using it. This has that, this has that, this has that. This one does not. This one has this one is a sunscreen, so it protects my skin, so that's why I have that one. But I don't use that one a lot because I typically don't put on makeup to go outside, like just to be outside or anything. If I'm putting on any makeup and I'm like going outside, like I plan to be outside for the day, then I'll use that, but I'm never really typically putting on makeup to be outside. That just doesn't make sense to me, because that would make my skin a lot more oily, and no matter what kind of routine I use, I will end up being really oily by the end of the day. So I typically, if I'm spending my time outside, won't put on makeup. These are 3 of my favorite. This one is from Wet n Wild, this one is from Smashbox, and Absolute. I like these 3 products. This one is for pores and it's for oily skin, so it works for me. I typically like to use this one, and this one I can't read anything that's on here, but this is supposed to be a smooth finishing, blurring type of primer as well. So I typically will use these 2, and I don't think I've ever put on 3 primers, but if that's what you want to do. But these 2, these are my go-tos, so let's do that. And do you see how it kind of just blurred everything out? I like to pile it on. You don't have to use as much as I use if you're not that big on primers, because I know some people don't like to use primer at all, but I do. I like to make sure that everything looks blurred out and is working for me. So then I take a beauty sponge. Normally it's wet, so now it's damp. Wet. So I like to use a damp or wet beauty sponge just because it moves the product a lot better. So the reason that I like to pat this in is because it's just sitting on my skin, and I could use my hands. I just like the way that it turns out and feels with a beauty sponge. I just feel like it's blending a lot better when I use a beauty sponge. You could use a brush as well, but I've never done that, so I don't know how that would turn out. On my camera, it looks like I'm turning kind of gray. I'm sorry if it's coming off that way. I don't know why it would. I had my lighting situation together. But so that's first primer. Second primer I go in with is my Smashbox, which I'm almost out of. And I don't use as much with the second primer just because it's not necessary. I don't need to pile it on like that, but I just like to make sure that I have that second layer for myself, and I like to make sure that I'm getting it in areas where my pores are huge and showing and need the most help. And I just use my hands for the second one. Now this next step is something that people question me about a lot, but I want to be completely honest. I got this technique, this hack, whatever you want to call it, from Jackie Aina. I saw her do this on her channel and I was like, oh my gosh, that seems like the smartest thing in the world to do for someone who has oily skin. So I go in with a powder. Now, typically I will use my HD powder from e.l.f. I have two of them. One is Hint of Tint and the other one is Corrective Yellow. So the reason that I do this with my foundation is to mattify, or do this before foundation is to mattify my foundation. This is to make sure that if I'm using a dewy foundation, I am drying it out as much as possible. So putting this on before foundation definitely helps, and it makes sure that I'm not going to look oily within an hour or two. So you can use any kind of powder. You can use translucent powder. This is what I was using before I got my HD powder. This is actually really cheap. This is only a couple dollars more than these were. This is the Coty Air Spun. I love this stuff. I don't use it on my foundation anymore just because it's not as translucent as it says it is, and I just don't care for it on my foundation anymore. So I started using it under when I saw that Jackie Aina was saying that that's something that she does, and I wanted to try it. I also have this NYX mattifying powder. It's a loose finishing powder, but you can use this on your skin before foundation, and this helps especially if you have the type of foundation that I'm going to be going in with today. This is not a non-mattifying foundation at all. It is it's a serum foundation. It's a weightless shea serum foundation. It's from Shea Moisture, so this is completely dewy foundation. Like, this will make you look oily. It'll probably add oils to your skin because Shea Moisture is full of oils and it's supposed to be a moisturizing type product. That's what they're known for. So today, because I'm going to be using that foundation, I also have this Pretty Vulgar, which is super nice. I got this in my BoxyCharm. I like this powder, but I use this on my skin. I have not used, or on my foundation. I have not used it on my skin under my foundation yet, only because it's such a little bit and I like how it looks and how it wears on top of my foundation. So today I'm going to be going in with the NYX mattifying, but again, you can use whatever powder you want. There is no limit to what you can use. You can use this Maybelline Fit Me, whatever powder it is that you want to use. A translucent usually works better just because they're not meant to be a foundation or anything like that. So translucents are a little better. This is a finishing powder, but because it's mattifying, I'm going to be using this today. So sometimes I will go in with a stippling brush. Sometimes I will go in with a powder brush. Sometimes I will go in with a sponge. It does not matter what you use to apply this. Just make sure that you get it all over the skin and you get a nice layer of it. So today I'm just going in with that same damp beauty sponge, and I'm using this flat side, and I just dipped it into the powder and going all over my face, making sure to give myself a nice layer of this powder. Wanting to make sure that I explain every little thing that I'm doing. It's crazy because I didn't think that people were going to want to hear what I had to say, because I'm not an expert. I'm not a makeup artist. I did go to cosmetology school, but I did not get certified because I didn't finish, and I learned makeup and everything, but I again am not certified. So I was never like on this channel to try to teach anybody. I was more so just trying to teach myself and just allow people to watch me teach myself. But hey, if you guys want to know details of why I'm doing stuff, or anything, just let me know. I have no problem making a video about it. So yeah. So now that you've got your powder on and you look like a ghost from Christmas past, hope everybody had a good Christmas. I'm filming this the day after, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to go up the day after. But so from there, you know, that's really the most important to me, the most important step to me, to make sure that you get a full layer of this powder. You can bring it down to your neck. I don't know, my neck doesn't get oily like that, so I don't really worry about it. But if you want to, you can put it on your ears, because some people like to put foundation on their ears to make sure that everything looks the same. But I don't worry about that. I worry about my face, because I get really oily here and really oily like in my T-zone. I'm just oily all over, so I like to make sure that the powder is just one nice layer across my face. So now we're going on to the foundation. Like I said, this foundation is very dewy. It is very, it's oil, it's a serum, so it's meant to be moisturizing on the skin and not drying. So this will be something that I do this process for. This foundation is definitely something that I will do this process for. So, like if I have a matte foundation, I will make sure that I'm not doing such a heavy layer of the powder, just because it's not necessary. But I still want to make sure that I'm putting at least a touch of the powder. The stippling brush is the best to make sure that I'm not putting too much on. But if I'm trying to make sure that it is on my skin, I go with the beauty sponge. So now we're going in with this foundation. Shake it up. And I'm just putting it on the back of my hand. I just did one big squirt and taking a little bit at a time and putting that all over and blending it out. Now, when you're applying your foundation, you want to make sure that you're not making it too heavy, because the amount of powder that you put on will not be able to hold all of that foundation, you know? So as you're putting it on, you can see it's not coming out dewy, it's coming out pretty matte, because the powder is holding on to it. And you just want to make sure that you blend that out perfectly even. Don't want to miss anything. Like I said, bring it down to your neck, making sure not to add too much. And that's just to look flawless anyway. Now that you've got that completely blended out to a flawless look, it's time to move on to concealer. So for my concealer, I like to make sure that I'm not just applying another layer of foundation, basically. So I like to make sure that I'm putting it in places that I want to brighten my face. And so that's under my eyes, around my mouth, and my forehead. Sometimes I like to get down here, but I haven't been doing that too much. That's only if I'm like looking for a chiseled look with contouring, but that's not what I'm going for today. The concealers that I use is the Matchstick in Latte from Fenty. I have the Master Conceal from Maybelline, and this Maybelline concealer. It's not called anything but Maybelline concealer. I don't know why, but this is in the shade 55 Hazelnut. This is in the shade 50 Medium Deep. And this is Latte, like I said. So what I've been doing a lot lately is mixing these two, because this one is very orange, whereas this one is very pink undertones. And so I have been mixing them to just calm this one down. I haven't been using a lot of this because this is strong stuff. Strong stuff here. So I'm running out of this. And that's another reason why I've been mixing them, because I'm running out. So when I'm applying my concealer, I like to make sure that I'm not bringing it all the way across my face. This is something that I've recently been doing to make sure that I'm not basically putting on another layer of foundation. So I like to leave it here because I'm only trying to brighten up under my eyes. And just a tip, when you are applying your concealer and you let it dry, it performs a lot better and it spreads a lot more, because you're not just soaking it up into the sponge or brush or whatever you're using to blend it in. And so then I go in with this concealer, which you gotta make sure that you shake it up because it can get really watery. This doesn't have a brush. This is one thing that I seriously hate about this concealer. So I'm gonna just take a brush and make sure not to use too much. Because again, we're just trying to blend these two. This thing is cool. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, that was way too much. That was too much. So I'm just gonna make sure to spread this out completely. So that's where we are with that. So I've got that dried down a little bit. Now I'm gonna take that same damp beauty sponge. I've been using the bottom of it for everything so far. And now I'm gonna use this top of it, the pointy top, and I'm gonna pinch it just a little bit. And I'm gonna make sure to just blend everything out. I focus on everything but my under eyes. I do those last. I try to. Sometimes I don't, but I try to make sure that I'm doing that last just because I want to make sure that I get it done and then get to my creasing or get to my powder so that I don't crease under my eyes, because I crease a lot under my eyes. And you're just going to make sure that everything is blending out so there's no harsh lines of where your concealer began and your foundation was ending. So I'm going to explain this and then I'm going to do this. After putting on your concealer, because you have so many layers of cream and liquids on your face, it is easy for your under eyes to crease and in your nose to crease up. And it'll look like globs of foundation and makeup in your skin, and you don't want that. So you'll go in with a powder. Again, you can use a translucent powder, you can use a mattifying powder. I'm gonna use two powders today. I'm gonna use the mattifying. I'm gonna put that on as soon as I'm done blending this out, and then I'm gonna go in with the Pretty Vulgar and bake because I want it to set even more. And I'll explain that after I've put on my mattifying. So I'm gonna do that. Now, using the same damp beauty sponge, I'm going in. I'm just going to put that under my eyes. And I'm blending that completely. So now I'm going to bake my face, and I normally don't do this too often. I just want to really ensure that this foundation does not get oily. So I'm using my Pretty Vulgar to bake my face. And what that means is basically I'm just putting more, it's a setting powder. I'm putting more powder on my face to make sure that everything, that powder is basically soaking up all the liquids to mattify this as much as possible. I'm just using the same damp beauty sponge. I'm putting that under my eyes and making sure to get into all the creases. Now you should know that the longer that you leave your bake on, the drier the more matte your foundation is going to look. So if you're going for a real matte look, like I don't want any oil seeping through today, leave it on while you do your eyeshadow. So because I have already put on a mattifying powder, I put powder on under, I don't need it to get super dry, because I do like for some of my oil to come through because it makes it look a little natural. I just don't need to look like I ran a mile. So yeah, so I'm gonna take the puff ball that came with the Pretty Vulgar, super cute, and I'm just gonna wipe this away. You can use a powder brush, you can use a powder puff, you can use anything that you want to wipe your bake away. Now with all that powder and everything that we've put on our face to mattify this makeup, it's time to put some color back into it. So I like to use this True Match Super Blendable Powder from L'Oreal. I wish this is the darkest one that they had. I wish they had something darker. I will be looking for something darker because I need that. Now, because I don't have anything darker and I'm trying to like really put color back into my face today, just because I'm in that kind of mood, I'm going to be using my Matchstick Espresso from Fenty Beauty, and I'm going to just lightly contour. So I'm just going to put it in places where when it blends out, it gives my face a little more color back, a little more life, you know, because I just need a little more life back into me because I've washed myself out with all the concealer and everything. So I have this Selfie Ready Blending Perfector. I don't know why it's called that, but this brush is from ELF. It's just a small little blending brush. You can use a contour brush, you can use anything, just blend your contour, your color out. Just give yourself some blend. Now normally your contour, whether it's a stick or whatever, is normally a cream or liquid. So remember that you just put more cream and liquid on your face, so you put more moisture into it, which kind of soaked up the powders that you put on. So that's when you go in with another powder. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna powder this out. I'm gonna use this powder brush from ELF. It's a kabuki brush, and I'm just gonna give myself some life back. And I'm making sure that I'm powdering that cream that I just put back on my face. Now that powder basically goes everywhere except for under the eyes and places that we highlighted. So here in the middle of our forehead, here. So now I'm going to take a smaller brush and I'm going to go into that powder and blend out here. So this is my foundation. This is how I do everything. If I start a video with my face already done, this is normally what it is that I'm doing. I look a little red in person, I look a little gray on camera, so I don't know how it's gonna come off to you guys, but these are the steps that I take to make sure that I get a flawless matte finish when I'm doing my foundation, and it turns out great every time. The key is just to basically make sure that I'm putting powder on under my foundation and making sure that I powder myself up when I put my foundation on. So those are the two main things that I just have to make sure that I do. And then yeah, so once you have done everything with your foundation, you want to make sure that you set your face. I usually use the continuous setting mist from Morphe. Something that I started using recently was from Tarte. This is a setting mist, a rainforest for the sea, but it's a high performance naturals. So it's supposed to make your makeup look natural after using it. I've used it a couple times. I don't know if I've ever used it on camera, but I don't know why I always feel like I need to shake it. Has an interesting scent. I don't like the way that it sprays because it's like really patchy, so I'm gonna go over this. I love the setting mist. It feels like nothing is coming out, but clearly it is. And then I always use my mirror because I still don't have a fan. I hope that this was very informative. I hope that this helped with people's foundation routines. If you don't use this routine, I hope that you got something out of it. I take a lot of things that I do from different people that I watch, because I also watch YouTube videos. So I take stuff from people that I watch and I kind of apply it to what I do. I try. It's all a trial and error with me because I want to make sure that I'm getting the best foundation base that I can get. I want to make sure that when I put on my eyes and my lips and my cheeks, that everything is flowing together, and that all starts with your foundation because that is the foundation. So I hope this video helped with anybody who needed it, as far as like applying makeup, why you're applying makeup, what products to use. I don't have very many high-end products, so if you're looking for high-end products, maybe I'll have to do that later in the future. But right now, this is more so kind of affordable stuff. Like, this is pretty affordable stuff. Some of it is from Sephora, some of it was sent to me from like BoxyCharm and GLAM, IPSY GLAM, but still affordable things. None of the products were super expensive. I think everything is pretty affordable. But if you want to see how I do my makeup with all drugstore, like all one brand or something, let me know down in the comment section. I am here to help you guys. I'm here for you. I know that they could help someone, so that's why I'm doing it. If you guys want to see anything, again, let me know down in the comment section. If you like this video, let me know with a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that button. I love you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.